What if I told you that your calendar setup could be the reason you're losing sales? Not your ads, not your leads, not your offers, your calendars. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I build calendars inside High Level, the same way I set them up for my own business and for clients who rely on appointments to make money. Not theory, not best practices you'll never use, the actual calendar structures, availability rules, buffers, routing, and logic that prevent missed bookings and lost sales. If you're running sales calls, onboarding calls, consultations, service appointments, or upsells, your calendar is not just a scheduling tool, it's part of your sales system. Calendars is also incredibly important if you have a service-based business, if you have an appointment-based sales process, or if you are selling SaaS or doing done for you services. A huge percentage of the businesses that you will work with, they're going to operate based on some form of appointment, whether this is a local business or an online business that's doing a phone call or a Zoom call. Ultimately, you as the business owner, if you are taking calls to close deals or sign up new SaaS clients, you're going to have calendars as well. So there is a lot that we could talk about when it comes to calendars. I'm going to go through some of the basics for you, but this is a really important feature because it really impacts if people make money or not. If they have that appointment-based sales process and their calendars are not set up properly, or if they don't have the right calendars in place, they're going to miss out on opportunities. So if there is anything that you're doing that's a direct purchase, you might still need calendars. For example, having that onboarding calendar, or maybe there's a one-on-one upsell that somebody can purchase. Even at bare minimum, if this is just a follow-up calendar for you as the business owner, where you want to be able to give your booking link to a potential partner or a potential vendor, the more you centralize everything within this account, the easier everything will be because it's all going to be able to be automated through the system if we keep those things internal. So we'll take a look at a few of these calendars. You can see that we've got some groups here. We've got different types of calendars. Now, this snapshot is set up to have primarily round robin calendars. And that's because that is what I recommend for most people who are doing sales calls. Even if it's just one person who's doing calls right now, if you have a round robin calendar, that's going to allow you to add other people onto this calendar really seamlessly. So if you get another salesperson, you don't have to completely switch the calendar that you've been using, and you're able to do that really easily. So we have the ability to upload an image or a logo here. We've got a calendar name. So we use custom values in pretty much all of our snapshots really heavily because it just allows people to update their details really quickly. But this calendar name is visible to somebody who is trying to book on this calendar. So just give it a name that you would be okay with someone seeing. And the description is also visible as well. We want to use this description as sales copy as much as possible because just since they've hit the calendar, it does not mean they booked yet. We want to use something within that description to really encourage them to still take that next step. Now, if you have multiple groups, you can select the group. If you're just getting started with this, you may not have groups or you'll just create one. This is going to be what somebody sees if they book, and this is added to their calendar. So by default, it just says contact name. That is not what you want to leave it as, because if you just see a calendar event on your calendar that says your name, you have no idea what that is for. It's confusing to people. So you want to make sure that you have the business name or the offer name and what type of call this actually is. You can also select, is this a Zoom meeting, Google Meet, phone? Is this at an address? Ask them what they'd prefer, etc. But if I want multiple people added on, I can select those different users. And then I can say, do I want to optimize this for availability? Whereas whatever date and time the user selects, I'm just going to put them with the person who has that availability open. Or do I want to optimize for equal distribution? So this means if you've got a sales team and you want people to, first appointment goes to this salesperson, second appointment goes to this salesperson, third appointment goes to this salesperson. Now the calendars that it's going to be pulling availability from. This is all going to be set up in your profile. This is going to be in one of the setup step-by-step documents that's linked in the day 2 workbook page. And you need to connect a Google Calendar or an Outlook calendar so that the availability that's showing up when someone tries to book is actually based on that person's real availability. This is important if you're setting it up for a salesperson or for a client. That's one of the biggest challenges people have, is wanting to make sure that if they're using these calendars, the dates and times are in fact accurate. So the best way to do that is just connect it with the calendar that person is already using. So you will have to be logged in as that user to connect it. So make sure that either that person logs in, or you actually have the ability as an agency admin to log in as one of your users. But you're going to have their Gmail login or their Outlook credentials. And so typically it's just best for that individual themselves to integrate that calendar. Now we've also got availability here. So your ultimate availability is pulling from that calendar that you connect, but this is the overall availability of this specific calendar. For example, if you've got an onboarding calendar and you only want to do onboarding calls on Monday and Friday from 12 to 4, even if I am available during those other days on my Google Calendar, it's only going to show Mondays and Fridays 12 to 4 when somebody's on this calendar. So I consider this the first level of defense in terms of your availability. Set your overall availability for the calendar first. Then you're going to have availability in your profile as a user. So let's say my Google Calendar, it's got every single day of the week, every single day of the year. It's got all the times available. But maybe I don't want to work before 10 a.m. or I just want to work 10 to 4. My personal availability would be set Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. So if somebody's booking on this calendar, they would be shown these times first. It's not going to show anything other than 10 to 4, but it's also going to block out any times that are blocked out on my Google Calendar from there. Whatever's blocked out there will not be shown. But the great thing about the round robin calendars is maybe I just want to work 10 to 4, but maybe Joe wants to work from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. He wants to take all the sales calls that he can. I'm not going to get anything booked outside of those hours. And then I'm also not going to get anything double booked if I already have something on my Google Calendar. So this should be the broadest level of availability for anyone who could be on the calendar. That's important if you've got more than one person here. Then we've got a look busy option. So let's say you're free as a bird, you've just started, but you don't want it to look like you literally have nothing going on. You can turn this on and you can say hide number of available slots by 20%, 50%, whatever that is. Can also set these to be recurring meetings. And then we have slot intervals. So this is going to allow me to book at 12 o'clock p.m., 12:30 a.m., but you can do that 45-minute intervals or 1 hour. And then this is the actual length of the meeting. So the meeting duration is 15 minutes, but I'm only letting people book on those 30-minute increments. Minimum scheduling notice means how far in advance can somebody book. So if I have this set to 12 hours, if this is 12 p.m., it would not show anything before 12 a.m. the next day, but then it's going to look at the calendar availability. And since we're not taking calls at 12 a.m., the next available would be 7 a.m. if it's 12 o'clock that I'm looking at this calendar. For a lot of salespeople, they just want 1 or 2 hours notice. This is a personal preference. And then also try and keep your date range tight. You don't want to give people 30 days to book unless this is something where they have that window of time. Typically, like 4 to 7 days is where we want to keep that, sometimes even less, because the longer the time period before that call, the higher the chance that they're not going to show up or that they're going to forget about what it is you do or just lose interest. So maybe you want this to be like a group thing and you want 5 people to be able to book with the same person at one time. Then we also have some buffer times before and after. So these availability settings are super critical. Regardless of what you're doing, it's going to play a really large role in how the business operates and how you get sales appointments. We've also got forms. There are default forms that just ask first name, last name, email, and phone number, but you can add any form that you want to your calendar. So, for example, I have a client who does something called mortgage velocification. And before that call, he wants to know, how much do you owe on your mortgage? Do you have a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? Do you have disposable income or money on top of paying your mortgage and your bills? Because that's going to impact if this will work for them and how well it will work for them. If there are specific questions that you need to get from somebody before that call, this is the place that you want to connect that form. We'll be looking at forms, and we'll also be taking a look at those in more detail when we go through the funnels and automations. We also have a redirect URL. We use custom values for these, but you can also have a success message. I always prefer to send people to a URL if this is a sales call or an onboarding call, something where we can give them more information after they booked in terms of where the call takes place, what they need to prepare beforehand, and really just try and further that relationship. And then we have new calendar meetings. So if you have accurate availability, you've got a Google or an Outlook calendar, you can do this. If you don't have accurate availability, you probably want to turn this off. We actually have a calendar in the snapshot called appointment request. That's something that a lot of business owners may need to use. They do not want to shift all of their booking over to this software, but it is still ideal that they use the booking calendars for a variety of reasons. The automations are one reason, being able to use the conversational and voice AI agents to book appointments, which again, we'll dive into in detail tomorrow. And then also being able to track what is being booked through Facebook's conversion API. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on day 5 when we're talking about lead generation strategies. So, for example, I've got a client, they have a roofing business, they have a different booking software that they use for their actual technicians to confirm inspections. But we want to get as many inspections booked as we can. We have an appointment request calendar where somebody can say, this is the day and time that works for me. Then they have somebody from their team call those people and either confirm that, yes, that day and time is available, and they'll just mark this appointment as confirmed. Or they will say, actually, we don't have that time available anymore. Will this day and time work for you? So it still allows you to use these calendars and get the benefits of doing that without forcing somebody to shift all of their calendars and booking systems over to this system. So there's different notifications you can turn on. Those really are the core features that you're going to want to understand, especially regarding round robin calendars. Service menus are great for people like med spas or barbershops or a beauty based business. Anybody who has multiple types of appointments that have different links, maybe they have different prices because you can actually check out and pay for this appointment through these calendars. But it's also great if people want to add on multiple appointments into one. So let's say I want to get a haircut. That's a 30-minute appointment and this is $25. I can add that on. Then I also want to get a hair color, and that's an hour and a half and it's $140. I can add that on. I can add that on. So it'll total all of my price points based on those appointments and say, okay, this is a 2.5 hour appointment. It's not just a 30-minute and then an hour and 40-minute, et cetera. It's going to wrap all of those into one. So if you are doing done for you services or you are planning on selling SaaS to a business that has multiple appointment types, service menus are really critical. And it was a huge upgrade when these were added into the account. You also can add rooms. So for example, like a med spa, they've got a sauna. This can be a room within their account. So if you can only have 2 people in the sauna once 2 people are booked, it's unavailable. You can also have equipment. So for example, a lot of them do things like cupping. Maybe the cupping equipment is being used for this appointment, so it's not available. These are really important if you want to automate that sales process for those businesses. So do not sleep on the calendars. It may sound boring, but it is ultra critical in how everything operates in the same way that pipelines are super, super critical. So now you understand why calendars are one of the most critical pieces of your high-level system. If your availability is wrong, your pipeline stalls.
your booking flow is broken, your sales break. Getting this right is foundational to everything we'll build next. And if you want help implementing everything we covered today, comment below and tell me, do you currently have one calendar, too many calendars, or no calendars set up at all? I want to see where you're starting so I can guide you in the next training.